Resident Evil Requiem just got an interesting update, thanks to the titles showing at the recent Nintendo Direct. We've got a brand new trailer to look at that unearths some awesome new things about the game, along with more platforms the title will be debuting on, and some more things we're about to dive into here, as Resident Evil 9 is confirmed to be making a big splash at the upcoming Tokyo Game Show in just 2 weeks. So if you're interested in learning about the latest updates hitting the next mainline Resident Evil title, smash that like button, because this is the video you're not gonna wanna miss. Speaking about something you're not gonna wanna miss, getting a chance to play this year's hottest survival horror game for free is something that could happen to you if you participate in my ongoing giveaway of Silent Hill F, as we have less than 2 weeks until that game releases. Go ahead and hit the link in the description if you're interested in winning a copy of this game, paid for by yours truly, and be sure to check your emails and spam folders just in case the morning of September 25th, as the winner will be getting an email directly from me with the code to the game for the platform of the winner's choice. Again, all details are provided in the description. So, Resident Evil Requiem will, in fact, be releasing on the Switch 2 system come launch day on February 27th, 2026. And not only that, so too will Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and Resident Evil Village for the Switch 2. With the Switch 2 being an incredibly successful console at the moment, achieving record-breaking sales and whatnot, I guess it was only a matter of time before Capcom would decide to release these 3 mainline Resident Evil games on the platform, especially since the Switch 2 hardware is much more capable of running these games over the previous Switch. Now, I know many Resident Evil fans on social media are worried that Resident Evil 9's full potential may have been limited a bit due to the game being available on the Switch 2 at launch, but I wouldn't worry about that just yet, as we've seen many of the recent Resident Evil games launching on, say, the PS4 for instance, with of course the PS5, Xbox Series systems, and PC running the games at higher frame rates, at higher resolutions, and sporting better lighting packages, ray tracing, etc. I'm sure that will remain the case here, with the Switch 2 likely being the version of the game that features the least bells and whistles when it comes to performance and optimization. But at the end of the day, it's clear that Capcom is interested in making sure that the game can appear on as many popular platforms as possible. In addition to the Switch 2, notorious Resident Evil leaker Dusk weeks ago made the claim that, in addition to the Switch 2 version, Resident Evil 9 would also land on the PS4. While we are yet to hear any official news about a PS4 version, this wouldn't really be all that surprising, as the Switch 2 hardware is more comparable to that of a PS4, only with the Switch 2 benefiting from its newer AI upscaling and frame gen capabilities. With Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 Remake both having dedicated PS4 versions, I wouldn't be all that surprised to see Resident Evil 9 come to Sony's previous console. Even the latest trailer for RE9 includes a mention of the PS4, with Dusk chiming in that it's more of a licensing thing and not a confirmation, but that he believes that the game will be announced later for the PS4, not knowing if that version would launch with the others on launch day or would come later. With heavy rumors coming from reputable insider Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming claiming that Sony is planning a state of play towards the end of September, with the big draw potentially being Insomniac's Marvel Wolverine, this possible event could lay host to Sony revealing that Resident Evil Requiem could launch on the PS4 platform, with Capcom having made VR versions of Resident Evil 7 for the PSVR 1, and more recently, VR modes for Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 Remake for PSVR 2, fingers crossed that Sony announces a VR mode for Resident Evil 9 should the game show up at a future state of play. This is all just speculation, but with Capcom just last year in an article from Game Informer touting their continued interest in VR, maybe we could see a PSVR 2 version of Resident Evil 9 should Sony throw the money at Capcom, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. At the end of the day, Capcom itself touted that September would be a huge month for Resident Evil Requiem, going so far as to drop this image, confirming that the game would make a big appearance at the upcoming Tokyo Game Show that runs from September 25th to the 28th. There's a lot to look forward to this month with Resident Evil, so we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of the Tokyo Game Show reveals and a potential state of play from Sony. Alright, moving on to this most recent trailer for Resident Evil Requiem from the recent Nintendo Direct. This new trailer isn't radically different from the previous two trailers that we got during the game's reveal at Summer Game Fest and at Gamescom, as this newer trailer kind of combines the two with more teases as to what's to come. For instance, we see more of the industrial areas of one of the sections of the game during Grace's investigations, showcasing a contemporary urban setting that is something we haven't seen in the series in quite some time. I particularly like the shot of the diner Grill 14 in the trailer, which is a nod to Grill 13 found in Raccoon City in the original Resident Evil 3, further cementing Resident Evil Requiem's intimate ties to Raccoon City and the series' return to this iconic location after 30 years. As we previously made note of in the Gamescom trailer, flashbacks are going to serve a big role in Resident Evil 9, as we got to see glimpses of gameplay of Grace following her mother, Alyssa, as they made their way through the Wrenwood Hotel. In this newer trailer, not only do we see that flashback footage again, but we also see Grace return to the Wrenwood Hotel in the present day, now charred and burnt from previous fire damage. Something to note about Alyssa during the Wrenwood Hotel sequence from this new trailer is that she appears to have hidden a leather notebook behind a painting, something Grace clearly remembers during her visit to the hotel on her investigation, as she retrieves that same notebook that her mother Alyssa placed several years prior during the flashback. Perhaps this leather notebook serves as a sort of flashback device for Grace in a manner similar to the VHS tapes in Resident Evil 7. Only time will tell. Going forward, we see an awesome shot of the exterior of the Road Hill Chronic Care Center in the town Road Hill, which is an area near Raccoon City. Again, Road Hill has been teased in previous games, as a subway from Raccoon City does in fact lead to this area. We then get treated to some awesome shots of the care center that are quite reminiscent of the foyer of the Spencer Mansion from Resident Evil 1, and some stealth gameplay of the Hag enemy chase. Towards the end of the trailer, we see some big new reveals of the enemies, with what appears to be a zombie roaming a hallway, and another zombie appearing to bang their head against a mirror, with what may be glass shards lodged into their face. I'm really curious to see what kind of infection has come over these zombies in Resident Evil 9, and how these enemies differentiate themselves over the previous games, but from the looks of things, these two sightings of the zombies in this recent trailer suggest something more akin to the more cognizant Las Plagas infected Ganados in Resident Evil 4 over the T-Virus, more zombie-like, well, zombies of Resident Evil 2 and 3 during the Raccoon City incident. The trailer closes out with a reveal of the Umbrella logo, of course, Grace holding a gun at the care center, and another shady, smiling abomination that closes out the trailer in a similar fashion to the premiere trailer at Summer Game Fest. Except instead of trailer 1's Big Mama, we have this mad doctor-looking fella grinning at us. Now, those are all the elements that I thought were most noteworthy of this newer trailer, but there are a lot of other smaller details going on here in this trailer. So yeah, a lot of mysteries still to come, and I'm sure plenty of big reveals to come soon. Maybe as soon as Tokyo Game Show later this month, and perhaps at the rumored State of Play event, so buckle up for a wild ride as we approach the next few months before Resident Evil 9 releases early next year. Got nothing else for you in this one, my friends. Come find me over in this video as we go deep into the scariest games of Resident Evil, ranked from the least scariest to the scariest of them all. And I will see you all real soon in the next one.